Imagine an NGO receiving foreign money to run a school, hospital, or disaster relief program. Clearly, such funding can benefit society. But what if the same funding is misused for foreign interference, money laundering, and activities affecting national security? This is a dilemma that FCRA tries to address. Hello everyone, my name is Rajni Jha. Welcome to Drishti IAS. In today's session, we will talk about FCRA, why is it needed, what does the 2026 bill propose, and why is it controversial? Let's get started. First, the FCRA Amendment Bill 2026 was introduced in Lok Sabha on 25th March 2026. Then why is it in news now? Because it has now been referred to the Joint Parliamentary Committee for detailed scrutiny. Now, what is a Joint Parliamentary Committee? A Joint Parliamentary Committee is a committee which is made up of MPs from both the houses of the Parliament, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. As you can see in this composition as well, there are 21 members from Lok Sabha, 10 members from Rajya Sabha, total 31 members are there in this JPC. So whenever a bill is sent in JPC, it means that before Parliament takes the final decision, let the MPs from both the houses examine the bill in detail and give their recommendations. That is why it is sent in JPC. JPC has to submit its report by the last day of the first week of the winter session 2026. You also must note that FCRA rules 2026 have already been notified and are in force. Now, the first question that should come to your mind is, I just said that the bill is still pending. It has been referred to JPC, but we are talking about the rules. So what is the difference? First, let's talk about FCRA. We will talk about this in detail as well. Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. This is an existing law. This is an existing law. It already exists, right? This amendment bill seeks to make changes in this bill. And what is rule then? FCRA rules, what are those? FCRA rules, they simply explain how this existing FCRA law will be implemented. How this existing law will be implemented is given by FCRA rules 2026, and this bill seeks to make changes in this existing law. That is the difference. Okay, next is, what is FCRA? So FCRA, as I told you, is Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. It regulates the receipt and use of foreign contributions and foreign hospitality by NGOs, associations, trusts, and other eligible organizations in India. Now, you must note there are two parts to it. First is foreign contribution and the second is foreign hospitality. What is the meaning of it? Foreign contribution means the money or other financial support that an NGO gets from foreign, right? So this means money or other financial support received from a foreign source. For example, a foreign organization gives an Indian NGO, let's say 10 crore rupees. Now the NGO can use it for school, hospitals and other such activities, but what if it does not use it for such other activities? Then that money can also be used for, let's say, influencing political organizations or something illegal. So this FCRA seeks to regulate the money that is received from foreign sources. It regulates whether the NGO can receive the money or not, how it can use the money, whether it has to report the expenditure, and whether the money is, whatever money they have received, it is being used for the approved purpose, for that specific purpose only. So that is foreign contribution. It is about money and financial support. Then what is foreign hospitality? In foreign hospitality, it is there are benefits such as travel, accommodation, food and other expenses which are provided by a foreign source to certain people. So this is benefits such as travel, food, accommodation, etc. For example, a foreign organization pays an Indian public official travel and stay abroad for a conference. So that will come under foreign hospitality, right? They get hotels, they get food, accommodation, etc. That will come under foreign hospitality. And FCRA regulates such foreign hospitality as well. Why? To prevent undue foreign influence. To prevent undue foreign influence. Unnecessary foreign influence, right? Okay, next is, what are the main objectives of FCRA? I'm sure you must have understood it by now that it prevents misuse of foreign funds. One of the major objectives, main objectives of FCRA is that it seeks to ensure that the foreign money is not used for illegal or harmful activities. Then it ensures transparency and accountability. What is the difference? transparency and accountability. What is the difference between them? In case of transparency, we talk about making it clear who is giving the money, how much money is given, and how is this money used. So this whole process is very transparent. When we talk about accountability, this means that it makes organization responsible for how they receive and spend foreign funds. So they are accountable of how they receive and spend the foreign funds. Similarly, it also seeks to protect national security, sovereignty, integrity, public order, democratic institutions. That it simply means that it seeks to ensure that any foreign funding is not used in any way that may threaten India's security or that may influence India's independence, unity, and territorial integrity. At the same time, that it should not be used for creating violence, unrest, right, or any serious disruption. So that is public order, and for any illegal activity, any undue influence over Indian society, institution, and decision making. It wants to prevent all that. That is why FCRA Amendment Bill is here right now. That is why FCRA is used, and now the FCRA Amendment Bill seeks to make some changes in that act, right? Okay, next. FCRA, the nodal ministry is Ministry of Home Affairs. It comes under Ministry of Home Affairs. You have to remember that. As I told you, FCRA already existed. So first it was enacted in 1976. So FCRA 1976 was the first that was enacted, but this was later replaced by FCRA 2010. So the rules that we saw of how the existing act, existing law that FCRA is going to function, going to be implemented, that is for this. So right now the one that is already in action is FCRA 2010, and this amendment bill seeks to make changes in this FCRA 2010. Okay. Next is why does India regulate foreign contributions? Why does it want to regulate foreign contributions? Again, I'm sure you must have guessed it by now. But let's say that any organization receives 50 crore from a foreign source. And as I told you, that 50 crore can be used for making schools, hospitals, and for helping the society in general, right? Disaster relief, environmental project, rural development, and all these are legitimate. But imagine the same money being used for illegal activities. Right, the same money can also be used for illegal activities if there is no one watching. There can be political influence, undisclosed political influence, there can be monetary money laundering, there can be activities which are harmful to national security. So there are two sides to this. On one side, foreign funding can support development and civil society, and on the other side, foreign funding can potentially create security and sovereignty concerns. That is why foreign contributions need to be regulated. Right? That is why we have FCRA. Now, what are the main features of existing FCRA? This is the one that is already implemented, right? First is registration for organizations seeking continuing eligibility to receive foreign contribution. What does that mean? Registration is, it allows the organization to keep receiving foreign funds as long as they follow FCRA rules. Right? And this is generally valid for 5 years. Validity is for 5 years. After that, you have to renew it. So FCRA registration has to be renewed. Registration is for continuing, to continue getting foreign money, right? This is for the continuing eligibility to receive foreign contributions, that is to keep receiving foreign funds as long as you follow FCRA rules. The second is prior permission. When is prior permission needed? Prior permission is needed for specific foreign contribution for a specific purpose or project. Right? Specific purpose or project. So registration is for continuing eligibility, and prior permission is for specific foreign contribution for a specific purpose or project. Okay. What are the important requirements? Other important requirements, as I've already told you, registration is valid for 5 years. After that, it has to be renewed. The main bank account, designated bank account is SBI New Delhi main branch account. Then annual return declaration form FC4 has to be filled. So basically, what does that mean? That means that every year organization must tell the government how much foreign money they receive and they spend using this, right? Then there is annual audited reporting. That means that every year there will be audit. So accounts must be checked by an auditor every year, and administration will be done by MHA, that is Ministry of Home Affairs, as we have already seen, right? Now, there are constitutional provisions also to this. For example, first is Article 19(1)(c), which is right to form association. Now, associations or union. Now, we know that NGOs and civil society are sort of associations, right? So, how does it connect here? How is it related to this? this article, Article 19(1)(c), NGO and other civil society organization depend on this right to function because it is right to form association, right? And these are sort of associations, a group. Next is Article 19(1)(a), which is freedom of speech and expression. Now, civil society organizations, they often engage in public debates and discourse and dissent. So, obviously, NGO will speak on public issues, criticize policies and participate debates. That is why this article also comes into picture. Next is Article 14, which is equality before law and protection against any arbitrariness. Article 14 is equality before law and equal protection of laws. And the main idea here is there will not be any arbitrariness in any action. So this is important. Article 14 is important because FCRA rules should be applied fairly and without any discrimination. There should not be arbitrariness in applying FCRA rules. So Article 14 also comes into picture. Then very, very important, the most crucial part of this in constitutional provision is federalism or center-state relations. There has to be a balance of power between union and states. You will see that. I'll just tell you about one of the proposals, one of the provisions given in amendment bill, which is that in this case, in case of investigation, if the state agencies need in case of FCRA investigations in certain case, state agencies need center's permission, right? I repeat, in case of FCRA investigation in certain cases, center needs to give permission to the state. So state needs permission from the center, and that creates federalism problem because the state is going to be on the lower rung as compared to center. Center will have more control over state agencies also, right? That is why this creates a problem of federalism and center-state relation. Next is, what does the 2026 amendment bill propose? First is designated authority. A new designated authority is proposed. What does that mean? See, any organization, if it is under FCRA registration, it is fine, but if the registration is cancelled, surrendered, or it is expired because it was not renewed, I told you it has to be renewed. If it is not renewed and it is expired, in all these cases, there will be a designated authority who will get this foreign contribution also, and the assets created from that foreign contribution, both will be given to that designated authority. So what does that mean? So for example, let's say that an NGO receives 5 crore in foreign funding, right? 5 CR in foreign funding and uses it to build school. Later, its FCRA registration is cancelled or surrendered or expired. So now it does not have FCRA registration, right? In this case, because of this proposed bill, there will be a designated authority that will be formed. There will be a designated authority, and that designated authority would manage the funds received by this NGO. At the same time, the school that this NGO created, both will be managed by this designated authority. It will go under designated authority, it will not remain with the NGO. Next is vesting of assets. What does that mean? If the organization loses FCRA registration, then all the assets created by that foreign fund will also go under the designated authority, as I've already told you. So there is vesting of asset, and in this case, two things can happen. So once the assets are under designated authority, two things can happen. They can sell the assets. So the asset can be sold and the money received from the sale will be kept in the Consolidated Fund of India. So they can sell the asset and all the fund that they receive will be kept under Consolidated Fund of India, or the asset can be transferred under the government. It can be transferred to the government department. So whatever asset goes under designated authority because FCRA registration of, let's say, an NGO is cancelled, they will either sell it, get the money and deposit that money in Consolidated Fund of India, or they will transfer this asset in a government department, for example, education department, etc. Right? Next. So first of all, why is it controversial? This is controversial because this organization could potentially lose the asset that the organization has created. The NGO could lose that asset. For example, the school in this case that the NGO has created, they will lose it permanently. That is why it is controversial, right? Next is place of worship. So let's say in this case, an NGO, there is the asset that the designated authority is going to get is a place of worship. So now they cannot change that place of worship into a normal government building. or a government organization, they cannot change the character of the place of worship. So the religious character must be maintained. That is the next provision. Next is automatic cessation. As I told you, if they fail to renew the registration, then within the prescribed period, then FCRA registration would automatically cease to exist. Next is punishment. It also talks about punishment. Bill proposes reducing the maximum imprisonment from 5 years to 1 year. Now it says that it should be only 1 year, not 5 years, wherever it is applicable. Next is investigation. Now this is the part that I was talking about. This is very important. This creates issues about federalism, right? Center-state relation. So if state agency thinks that an NGO has broken FCRA rule, it would need permission from the central government before initiating an investigation. I repeat, if the state agency thinks that an NGO has broken FCRA rules, it would need permission from the central government before starting any investigation against that NGO. So this, and you know that law enforcement usually comes under the state. So right now, even for the subjects that are under state, for that they need permission from the center. So this makes center stronger, and this creates a problem of federalism because the power is not distributed, right, properly. In this case, so giving center a say before state agency can investigate raises question about state's autonomy and center-state relation also. But the government says that this is for better coordination, right? Government says this will create better coordination, better control, and critics say this is too much control of center over state. That is why this controversy is right now there. Then FCRA rules, I've told you these are already operational. This is for the FCRA that already exists, right? The rules, first is activity specific registration. What are the major changes in the FCRA rules? So first is, these rules are first of all already operational, and the first is an organization must mention what work it will do, what activity it will do while getting registration. Second, state or UT specific registration. So where it will work, what work it will do, and where it will work, it has to specify. Next is minimum utilization. What is minimum utilization? Minimum utilization is to renew registration, the organization must have used at least 10 lakh of foreign funds in the last 2 years. Then only it can renew registration. How much? 10 lakh foreign funds in the last 2 years. That is minimum utilization. And greater disclosure, what does that mean? That means that it has to tell everything, give more details about the foreign funding. For example, how much money was spent on each project, how money was used, who the final foreign donor is, their website, the social media details, everything has to be disclosed. So here the organization have to provide details such as project wise expenditure, activity wise utilization. Basically, it has to give more information. That's what this talks about, the changes in the FCRA rule. So what work you'll do, where you'll work, how much money has been used, and give more details. That's what this FCRA rule is all about, right? Next is, what is the government argument? I've already told you why the debate is going on. The government argument is this will stop foreign interference. This will improve transparency. I've already talked about it. This will protect national security. It will prevent misuse of foreign funds. It will strengthen accountability, and the central approval that is required before the state starts the investigation. This will ensure coordinated investigation. This is what is given by the government. This is government's argument. But there are concerns by the state. The first concern, of course, is the government will get too much control over the state. Executive discretion will increase. That means that the government will get too much control over NGOs. Then they are saying it will improve transparency, but will create higher compliance burden. What does that mean? That here, especially for smaller NGOs, it will become very, very problematic. The smaller NGOs may face too many problems, too many rules, too many paperwork. Higher compliance burden is too many paperwork, and they may not be able to sustain. Then could have chilling effect on civil society. What is chilling effect? Chilling effect is when the rules are so strict that NGOs are discouraged from speaking freely because they will be punished. So it can cause chilling effect. Then asset vesting provisions may be excessive. We have already talked about it, that NGOs could permanently lose the assets that they created using foreign funds. So that is too much. That is excessive. Then may disproportionately affect minority-run institutions. Now, of course, minority-run organizations will be affected more. They are more vulnerable, so they will be affected more because of such strict rules, and could raise concerns about state autonomy and federalism. With this, we have already discussed that because of this central approval, even in the state matters, this creates problems of state autonomy. Where is state autonomy? This creates problem of federalism, the power sharing, right? So the core debate about all of this is, if there is too little regulation, this could lead to foreign interference, misuse of fund and security issues. But if there are if there is too much regulation, this could really lead to excessive executive control, chilling effect, and even reduced space for civil societies and NGOs. That is the core debate here. Okay, next let's talk about the question. The question says, the proposed designated authority under FCRA Amendment Bill 2026 is primarily associated with option number A, granting citizenship to foreign funded NGOs, B, managing foreign contributions and assets created from them after an organization loses its FCRA status, C, conducting elections to NGO governing bodies, or D, regulating all domestic donations received by NGO. And I hope you will be able to answer this question easily now after this discussion. So that's it for today's session. Thank you so much for joining in. I'll see you again soon. Until then, take care.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.